you feel good about where you stay. I come up on Crenshaw, Franklin Street, slanging yay. First serve of the day, straight to reference for a play. We were hustling just to eat back then, it was for shine. BP4, Miko, Dale, Shibu on the grind. Back when we used to holler at Blue, proper name for this with milk. Cocaine, fish scale, whiter than a finest silk. Asking for it and you ain't from round here, get you killed. Round here.
Alright. Having technical difficulties, but this is your man. He is I am him. The one and only Byrone. This is Byron A. Lloyd. This is Shooting the Breeze with your man, Byron A. Lloyd. My man Charlie Whitaker, he is MIA. I don't know what happened to him. He went off on one and he didn't come back. I don't know what happened to him, man. Went to shit in the hogs at him. Who knows? He is MIA currently, though. But, I'm still going to do what I got to do because that's what I do, y'all. And like I said, man, being Christopher Columbus Day, I thought I would just jump right into it, man. I'm gonna try to tie this thing all together in a sweet little package. Like I actually have researchers and producers, and we fucking segmented and packaged a nice little radio show for you. You know, make it look like it's semi-amateur, professional, novice. Anyway, back to it. Anyway, we're gonna start with it's Christopher Columbus Day, y'all. Happy Christopher Columbus Day. I still don't know why we celebrate him. And after somebody's missed something about the bust about him, I'm sure you'll feel the same way, because let me tell you, Chris Columbus was a fucking asshole. You know, this is my show, and we do use grown-up language every now and again. I will say that Christopher Columbus is an asshole. And to salute Christopher Columbus being an asshole, I'm going to take my first shot. And this is, of course, as always, all went to 80 Proof of Truth. It burns when it goes down, man. Anyway, so I'm gonna bust out some of these Chris Columbus myths. Ooh, that was almost rhyme-tastic. Anyway, by the way, I know I'm a little late. Well, I'm like 8-9 minutes late into it. I got in the head session, got a little caught up. Shit happens, y'all. Anyway, so we're gonna go back to it. Look, Christopher Columbus made 4 trips to the New World, right? But his famous 1492 voyage of discovery, like I said, it actually didn't lead to 1493, but here's the kicker on that now. Even though everybody else went east to find these, the spice route, where all the spices and gold, your Asias, all your exotic lands between here and Asia, Chris Columbus decides he's smarter than everybody else, which is, comes to find out, the only thing he was decent at was maybe being a captain of a ship, because he made some extremely stupid mistakes and was a cruel, twisted, greedy bastard, as you're about to find out. But let's see. So he gets Ferdinand and Queen Isabella to bankroll his little party. Of course, they get the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria. He heads out to find the spice route, but instead he bumps into North America, right? Even though we kind of find out later, America Vespucci and probably Lee Ferguson found him, discovered North America before he did, but I digress. When he gets over here and he realizes, first of all, of course, that's when he makes the famous mistake of calling Native Americans Indians, which stuck and still is used to this day as a description of, now they consider, I think, a racial slur to call Native Americans Indians. But that's all harkens back toward Christy Columbus, the Spaniard asshole, greedy bastard, cheapskate fuck, as we're about to find out. But anyway, so when he finds out he's in the wrong spot, he just refuses to, accept defeat, man. So he decides he'll just start snatching folks up, and he took them back to Isabella and them and said, look, I didn't find gold and shit and all these spices, but these fuckers make pretty good slaves, basically. But what he didn't find out till later on, that Isabella and them had decided that there would be no new slaves in the New World. It kind of banded to his dismay. And as we find out, he made on his second or third trip. His third trips went to shit for him. He really didn't do the first 2 trips. And let me tell you something. He come back, and let me read it up. First trip, where's that? We'll break it down. His first trip, he come back. Let me go back here. See, I done a little research, man. By the way, I'll give a shout. I got this from American History about.com. Check it out. Research review spots. It seems to be the most accurate. Let's see. But people paint him. A lot of people paint him as a villain. I think he was just more incompetent and dumbass. You know what I mean? He seemed like he was might have been a superior captain, but he was inept in social situations or leadership roles. Is what it looks like to me. That he didn't have a good feel for the people, or you know what I mean. He was living in a bubble. It looks like. But like I said, here's the myths. We're going to bust them out. There's 4 of them. Big ones that taught us in school. And this is going to lead to the bigger picture as I digress and segue here in a minute on this pro shit. Myth 1, let's say Columbus wanted to prove that the world was not flat. Okay. But here's the deal on that. The deal was this, and I was taught this in school. This goes back to textbooks, whitewashing history, revisionist history, which we're going to get into that a little deeper. But my angry black man ain't here to really blow up on it, so I'm going to try to get an angry white guy. Anyway, that theory had already been busted before Columbus ever made the trip to the New World. So that's horseshit right there. And when Columbus got back, this is how quacky he was and how arrogant, egotistical he was. He couldn't just admit defeat in no instance. So when he got back, even though he'd never found the spice routes, the big ka-ching and gold and whatnots, and all the accumulates of wealth and whatnot, anyway, he didn't hit the jackpot. He come back and tried to convince everybody that the world was pear-shaped, so he could easily sell his trip to the Asian spice routes or the spice routes, which he never made, which is hilarious because people laughed at him and thought he was kind of fucking crazy at that point. But I'm paraphrasing here. It said in number 2 that Columbus persuaded Queen Isabella to sell her jewels to finish the trip. But see, here's what people don't know, that they just made a fresh conquest of the Moors in south of Spain, so they had plenty of money to send crazy ass Christopher Columbus on his little seafaring adventure. So that's also myth. I know this ain't interesting. I don't know if y'all are in for something hot. I'm trying to keep the theme going, man. If y'all it's gonna be funny or something, we're trying to keep it serious, maybe teach you something, open your ears, learn you something. Myth 3, he made buddies with the natives, and they said sure he made friends at first because he had shiny trinkets and bullshit and guns and whatnot. But basically, they brought smallpox to the new land and killed, they said, probably millions of Native Americans, which is heinous. But that was just pure ignorance on his part. He didn't know no better. He was just ignorant. You know what I mean? It ain't like we knew how viruses spread or, contagious diseases spread. It ain't like there was some kind of expert in them. Back then, being a doctor was some shaman type witch doctor shit, even if you were a legit doctor. They were still using leeches and, bloodletting and bullshit like that. But, so, sure, he made buddies at first, just like all conquistadors. After he made buddies, he snatched the shitload of them up and made slaves of them. And let me read what this says. It says, but Columbus also captured other natives for use as slaves. The practice of slavery was common and legal in Europe at the time, and the slave trade was very lucrative. Columbus never forgot that his voyage was not one of exploration, but of economics. His financing came from the hope that he would find a lucrative new trade route. He did nothing of the sort. The people he met had little to trade. An opportunist, he captured some natives to show that they would make good slaves. Years later, he would be devastated to learn that Queen Isabella had decided to declare the New World off limits to slavers. So already we're starting to see that he was kind of a douchebag. You know what I mean? He was an opportunist, like you said. He fucked up. He went against the grain. He was going to try to think outside the box, go against the grain, to go west instead of east to fund his trade route. And when he shits in his nest, and it all goes fucking foobar on him, this cat, she's like, what can I do, man? I got to show him I made something for money. There's got to be something lucrative here. And he uses human slavery as the new lucrative market he found. He's basically saying, look here, man, I found a whole island full of folks with using slaves. So basically, he's plundering humanity, which is twisted. You know what I mean? I don't know how you chop it up. On that right there, man, he's a tad bit evil. Well, he is evil. I don't know if the rest of his good points will balance that part out, because that's some evil shit there. You know what I mean? He's trying to think anything I can make money off of, just panicking. He's like, slavery. We can make a buck off these natives, these poor dumb bastards. So, he's definitely a big cock on that one, douchebag. Alright, and the big one, number 4, he returned to Spanish glory, having discovered the Americas. And this, they say it's half-truth that when he first got back to Spain, his first voyage was a total fiasco. He not found a new trade route. The most valuable was 3 ships. The Santa Maria has sunk. Later, when people began to realize that the lands that he found were previously unknown, his stature grew and he was able to get funding for a second, much larger voyage of exploration and colonization. But then, here's what we find out. On his third trip, they make him go over to Hispaniola, which in modern day, Hispaniola is the Dominican Republic of Cuba, right? It's one island. And him and his brother show up and they go fucking thug on these cats and raise taxes so high and plunder so much fucking money, and they're so shrewd and hoarding all the wealth that Isabella and Ferdinand had to send this cat over here. What's his name? Badilio? Let me find his name here, man. I want to be factually accurate here. But anyway, they had to send a special governor in, and this dude brought in some troops, and he brought in 500 slaves that Columbus himself had taken from the new land, and they were going to be repatriated. They're going to be reintroduced to their native islands. Patriated, fucking, anyway. I'm a little 2 sheets to win. Patriated, yeah, see, still ain't working out for me. Anyway, I tried, man, 3 times. Hey, I tried. But, so as we see, man, this dude's a douchebag, so I still don't understand why we celebrate this guy, man. He didn't do what he planned to do. He didn't fucking shit. He didn't do shit. And then when he got over here, instead of just admitting defeat and going back, he rounded up, slavery, man, and bondage, human bondage, and slavery, which is evil. That's that's douchebaggy evil. There's no way to defend slavery, man. I'm sorry. There's no way to defend it. But so once again, I don't know why we take up for this cat. I don't know why we celebrate it. It's another one of those traditions that need to fall by the wayside. A lot of people, especially to the left, have taken up and celebrated, calling it Indigenous People Day, and I can dig that. Instead of celebrating the evil fucking conqueror, like, even though as competent as he was, Christy Columbus, we can celebrate the native peoples who had to suffer under these cats, and he opened the door for all the conquistadors to follow. Your Ponce de Leons, your Hernandezes, all these evil dudes who ended up just crushing the Native American people, man, especially in Central and South America. So that's a little history and geography lesson. And the reason I'm getting into that was because, first of all, I want to talk real quick. On a side note, I want to talk about teachers, man. And the reason is because, man, I got some disconcerting medical news about my mom's. So I'm a little down about it. My mom taught school for 29 years, taught thousands of kids. And you go back and think that that nobody has more of an impactful role on children than teachers. You know what I mean? Most of the times, especially in the smaller grades, teachers are with your kids more than you are in a day. You know what I mean? I know everybody can think back and think of their favorite teacher, or the cool day one teacher done for them. And you know what I mean? So nobody impacts lives like teachers impact lives. And the fact that they only make on average $1,000 more than your average garbage worker or sanitation worker. And don't knock the sanitation worker because it's a dirty job, don't get me wrong. But that's a fucking travesty, man. You know what I mean? These people truly shape the future. You know what I mean? The young minds they're melding and molding are the future. So, and the fact that they make less than some dude who's head of the Lottery Commission or some jerk-off CEO is a travesty, man. And that's something a little sad on a teacher, because like I said, my mama, she taught school for 29 years. She didn't go back to college until I was probably 12. She was like 32 or something like that. And she worked 3 jobs, put herself through college. We was on welfare the whole night. Worked herself off welfare and all that shit. But the kicker is that she done it not for the money, for the love, man. And most of these teachers, 90% of them, they do it for the love. And it's sad that we can't show them some love back and give them a wage that is respectful of their fucking their job, their vocation. You know what I mean? Something that shows them we appreciate them, and something that's on par with what they should be making. As far as respect and gratitude as a society. I'm not trying to get off on a deep level, but I'm just saying, man, teachers get paid shit. And you know what I mean? They decide more on what's coming than anybody else. And like I said, we all have that favorite teacher, that favorite moment. So no matter how even the most evil among us, or the the most uneducated among us still have that one teacher, that one moment. You know what I mean? So I think that's where we need to focus money, and that's another reason why I'm with Bernie Sanders, because he's all about giving out free educations, and I'm all about letting him and helping him. And it's sad that teachers are so underappreciated, man. And Charlie was going to back and forth with me on this, but Charlie in here, so I was going to say, love my mom. This one goes out to Eder. But seriously though, man, and the reason I digress in the middle is because on that we're going to come back to the whitewashing of history, and that's where the Christopher Columbus myth shit falls in. So I'm going to bring this shit full circle. I'm going to tie it up in a bow for you. Let me give it a shot for Chris Columbus and his fucking douchebag self. Here's to Christy Columbus. But there's a documentary. I can look it up real quick. There's a documentary, because let me tell you how textbooks that our children go to school and read for the most part, especially in public school districts. The curriculum, what's in those books, the context and content of those books, is decided on by two markets: the California school districts and the Texas school districts. A lot of times it tends to be the Texas school district, since it leans a little bit more to the conservative, right? Here in the past 10 years, it's leaned a lot more to conservative. Longer than 2 years, actually more like 15. But, and like I said, they whitewash history. It's the same reason we didn't get the truth about Christopher Columbus and the fact that he was a slave trading douchebag. You know what I mean? The same way that we didn't get the truth about a lot of things, man. And and this just happened recently, and then they just recently, and this was a Texas version. Now the reason I forgot, let me go back. There's a documentary. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Documentary about the Texas state school board, and the way they decide which books are in and out, which curriculum and which content is allowed in their textbooks. And I forget the name of the documentary, but it's awesome. Let me say about the Texas school board. Yeah, here we go. It's the Board of Education. It's called The Revisionaries. And let's see, I think you can watch it on PBS here. I'm looking it up. I'm getting my Google on. Let me tell you, it came out in 2012. This is also, I'm just tied into Fire Flick of the Week. It's going to be The Revisionaries. I'm tying all this shit together. I'm even getting Fire Flick of the Weekend. I'm getting Punk of the Weekend. I've put some thought in this shit, man, for at least 6-7 minutes. I forget, but I thought about it for longer than 30 seconds. So give me some props here. But it's called The Revisionaries. And looks like right now you can watch it on Independent Lens on PBS. Let me tell you, I highly recommend this, because if you have children, man, the Texas Board of Education basically decides what our kids see in their textbooks. And they have been slowly they have been eroding away the actual history of America for the past 15 years, and they've been whitewashing it. And especially the part of history where white folks were assholes. They've been whitewashing the shit out of that, man. And hence I hate to use it because it's a bad cliche, but hence the cliche whitewashing. You know what I mean? They call it whitewashing for a reason, because it's usually covering up what shit white folks do. But like I said, that's my Fire Flick of the Week to Revisionaries, and I'm going to bring it back down, because let me tell you, recently, I don't know if y'all read this, man, but you can check it out. McGraw-Hill, this is, let me give you, go ahead and quote the source, source my fucking shit here. I'm getting this from the US News, right, .com. And headline: textbook company apologizes for calling slaves workers. Now let me tell you what happens. It's in Austin, Texas. That's where McGraw-Hill is located. And if you remember back to school, McGraw-Hill, most of your books are McGraw-Hill. So you can bet your sweet ass Arkansas was going to get these books, or a lot of school districts in Arkansas was going to get these books if they didn't. And the shitty part of it is let me show you what they said. Let's see. Looking, scrolling, and rolling. It was a caption, right? And the caption in the library textbooks accompanies a map of the U.S. and a section about immigration. It reads: the Atlantic slave trade between the 1500s and the 1800s brought millions of workers from Africa to the southern United States to work on agricultural plantations. And I know some people who are maybe not can grasp the wording there, the verbiage, but they call slaves workers, and trust me, there's a big difference between being a fucking slave and a worker. Workers get paid, workers get vacations, workers can quit, workers have options. Fucking slaves do not have none of those things, and they might take a killing, lynching, ass whooping, branding, foot chopping off, and all kind of shit with that, man. So, that is just, that's heinous. You know what I mean? To denigrate and, man, just fucking, just, wash it away like it's nothing, you know what I mean? Act like it's a side note. And the reason I say side note is because this ain't the first time McGraw Hill's been guilty of this shit in the past few years, right? I looked a little deeper, and then I found this is the Washington Post, man, and it's an opinion article. And the guy who wrote this article, usually I'm not into opinion articles, I like straight facts. But the guy who wrote this article had wrote a textbook, a history textbook, had been rejected by the Texas Board of Education. And let me tell you what this cat says. They were basically trying to do or about to accomplish. One of the biggest publishers in the U.S. apologized for calling slaves right. Same old shit, right? Where was that? Here we go. And this is July 6th. This has been a while. I think 2010. So this ain't just a new problem for McGraw Hill. This is some ongoing shit with him and the Texas Board of Education. This is in 2010, July 6th. Alright, this fall, Texas schools will teach students that Moses, are you kidding me, played a bigger role in inspiring the Constitution than slavery did in starting the Civil War, which is ludicrous. That's fucking ludicrous. The Lone Star State's new social studies book, deliberately written to play down slavery's role in Southern history, do not threaten only Texans. They pose a danger to school children all over the country. The Texas Board of Education adopted a revised, key word there, revised. That means they get to cherry pick and choose and make up shit, basically. It's pure speculation. Another fancy terminology, another fancy term here, speculation, revised. Or not even speculation. Yeah, I guess you could say maybe per speculation, because it's the way they see it. Not the way it actually happens, it's the way they see it. And it says they adopted a revised social studies curriculum in 2010 after a fierce battle. When it came to social studies standards, conservatives championing causes from a focus on the biblical underpinnings of our legal system to a whitewashed picture of race in the United States won out. The guideline for teaching Civil War history were particularly concerning. They teach that sectionalism, states' rights, and slavery, carefully ordered to stress the first two and shrug off the last, caused the conflict. Come August, the first textbooks catering to the changed curriculum will make their way into the Texas classrooms. And trust me, if they made it to the way of the Texas classrooms, they made it to the way of Arkansas classrooms, probably just about the majority of school districts in the United States. Like I said, Texas and California, mostly Texas, their textbook curriculum, their curriculum pretty much defines the curriculum for the whole United States, man. It's fucked up, and that's because it's expensive to make textbooks, and the reason they do it is because California, of course, and Texas being the biggest in population, once they print them one way, they don't have to change them up, and it's easier to print them in batches and print them one way, and so we get them the way Texas or California decides, and it's usually Texas. 9 times out of 10. And this author said they shrugged off slavery. I say that's once again what they do here. They shrugged off slavery by demeaning it worse than what it is by calling it workers instead of what it was slavery. And trust me, there's a fucking universe worth of difference. Miles, light years difference, and workers and slaves. But anyway, it says, and alarming that 150 years after the Civil War's end, children are learning that slavery was, as one of the Texas Board of Education member put it in 2010, a side issue. No serious scholar agrees. Every additional issue at play in 1861 was secondary to slavery, not the other way around. By distorting history, Texas tells its students a dishonest and damaging story about the United States that prevents children from understanding the country today. Also troubling, Texas standards look likely to affect more than just Texans. The state is the second largest in the nation, which means books designed for its students may find their ways into schools elsewhere too. And seeing that's what this fucking documentary shows, that they set the gold standard on textbooks and curriculum for the whole United States, man. So that's why people should be worried, because they're telling our kids something that is not true. And they taught us bullshit enough history. And now they've watered it down. Another generation, they've watered it down even more. You know what I mean? What is the next generation going to learn? That the fucking slaves showed up on their own and they wanted to work for free? Really? This is ludicrous, man. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be able to look out, because this is where religion is injecting itself into government in a bad way. I mean, most of the time it is a bad way. They're using their religious beliefs to decide the history to teach my child or your child or anybody's child, and that is wrong, because religious beliefs should have no effect on the history of the United States. So you see how the religious bias is affecting us in the smallest way, but in the biggest way. You know, it seems to be just a little thing, man, because it's just a textbook, but they're indoctrinating our kids. They're teaching our kids. They're putting this shit in our kids' head to grow up and believe it that way. We know it not to be true, man. You see how it's affecting us even at the lowest level? And, you know, and I'm not, you know, if you want to teach your kids religion, that's all cool with me. Because like John Lennon said, and he's singing the song, whatever gets you through the night, man, I'm cool with it. But you shouldn't let that affect the history that actually happened, that we have documented, that we know what happened. You know what I mean? How can you sleep at night knowing that you are lying to yourself, but to millions of kids, and they're going to grow up believing this shit and teaching it and telling it to others? You see how that would divide the country generations on down, divide us even further. You see how divisive this is. You see, so in this instance, somebody's religious beliefs are being injected into something that will affect school children across the United States, that years from now could have grave consequences by dividing. You know, there's already a racial divide in this country, but making it even greater. You know, making even a greater chasm between us. And you know what I mean? And further divide this country. So this is wrong and needs to be stopped. And that's why I take it in, because good teachers like my mama can only teach the books they're given. And if we're going to pay them more and treat them with more respect and pay them what they're worth, we got to give them the tools to teach our kids. You know what I mean? And that's the only way we're going to win in the future. And that's what I'm getting to in a nutshell. That's the only way we're going to win in the future. That's the only way we're going to make America great again, is by being the best educated country in the world. You know what I mean? That's how you're going to win. You're going to win with your mind. You know, 100 years ago, you win with hard work with your body. It was more about manual and physical labor 100, 200 years ago. Now it's more mental. It's all mental. You know what I mean? So we got to have we have the greatest education system in the world, and we pump money back into it instead of pumping it into bullshit wars, and we educate our kids on the level they should be because of the wealth we have. We will be great again. We still are great. We will be even greater. When I say great again, we're not sucking it out. We're still the greatest country going. We'll be greater. So you see how this all ties together in a neat little package for you campers? I know I was a little quiet tonight, but I got bad news earlier. You know, I'm a little mellow, but you know, we're still on with the 80 proof of truth. But I'm trying to drop knowledge for you. And this time I was going to be serious and trying to teach you a little something. Hopefully I kept my fucks below 30 for all my sensitive eared listeners out there. Let me take one more shot before I get off here. You know what I mean? By the way, a little show identity break. This is Shooting the Breeze with your man, Barry Lloyd. And that last one went down pretty good. So let's go back in here and watch the Steelers game and maybe watch a little of the Cubs, St. Louis. But I wanted to let you know, on Columbus Day, we learned a little something. We learned what, kids? Columbus was a douchebag slave trader. Greedy, skinflint asshole. Right? And he was pretty incompetent at finding shit. Pretty good, though, at killing shit. And what else we learned? That religion can affect us in the smallest but biggest ways all at the same time. You know what I mean? Something so small could turn into something so big down the road. And we got to nip that shit in the bud. But I'm down to my last 20 seconds here, y'all. So I'm going to get out of here. This is Shooting the Breeze with your man, Barry Lloyd. And I'm out, yo. Later, Gator.